Dean Show's on.
Welcome to The Dean Show from Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Dean Show comes from the man who made you pay for Nova Rex, Ain't Easy Being Cheesy, and Butch Black, the Mean Man. Join Summit City Noise producer Dean Robinson for a weekly tour featuring food, music, special events, animation, and interviews with people who are getting stuff done. This is The Dean Show.
It's time for Summit City Noise News. The Journal-Gazette. Headline: Christy Stutzman announces run for seat in Indiana House. The wife of former Congressman and state lawmaker Marlin Stutzman will run for a seat in the Indiana House. Christy Stutzman announced in Goshen that she will seek the Republican nomination in House District 49, the Goshen News reported. Marlin Stutzman unsuccessfully sought the Republican nomination for a U.S. Senate seat in 2016 and left Capitol Hill after his term ended that year. Here's some advice for Christy Stutzman and all Indiana politicians. When Fort Wayne WOWO-AM host Pat Miller talks to you about combining a family vacation and political campaigning with a commercial tour of the Ronald Reagan Library, just walk away. Just say no.
WOWO host Pat Miller and Ronald Reagan ruined Marlin Stutzman's Senate run. Upon election in 2010, Marlin Stutzman served as a Republican congressman representing Indiana's 3rd District in the United States House of Representatives until January 3, 2017. Stutzman ran for the U.S. Senate seat vacated by Republican Dan Coates in 2016. He lost the Republican Party nomination to Todd Young, Indiana's former 9th District representative in the U.S. House. Todd Young won the Senate seat in November's election. Marlin Stutzman may have lost trust and popularity among Indiana voters due to a controversial 2015 family vacation in California that gained notoriety from involvement by Marlin's friend Pat Miller, a Fort Wayne, Indiana radio show host at WOWO-AM. Pat Miller hosted a commercial vacation tour in California for Indiana-based Edgerton Travel that took place during the Stutzman family trip. On August 26, 2016, the Office of Congressional Ethics sent a report about Representative Marlin Stutzman to the Committee on Ethics of the U.S. House of Representatives. The OCE board recommended the Committee on Ethics further review the allegation that Marlin Stutzman used campaign funds for personal purposes, as there is substantial reason to believe that campaign funds were used to pay for a personal family trip to California. According to the OCE report, Stutzman used funds from his Senate campaign committee to pay for his family's airfare and a rental vehicle at a cost totaling $3,171.45. The Office of Congressional Ethics Review number 16-3645 says from August 12 to August 17, 2015, Representative Marlin Stutzman, his spouse, and his 2 children traveled to Los Angeles, California, where they met 2 family friends, the pastor of the church the family attends in Virginia and the pastor's wife. The family friends joined the Stutzman family for many of the events during the trip, including a dinner with individuals associated with the Hallmark Channel, a tour of Capitol Records, Pat Miller's tour of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, and a tour of the Reagan Ranch, the OCE report says. During an interview on June 23, 2016, Stutzman told the OCE that the idea for the California trip was first discussed in October or November 2014 in the context of a tour to be organized and hosted by Pat Miller, a radio talk show host in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Marlin Stutzman says Pat Miller, who is a talk show radio host in the district in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with a large radio station there, had approached us. He was setting up a trip, like a lot of regular personalities do, taking his listeners to California. He approached me about possibly going along. Edgerton Travel, the company that organized and marketed Pat Miller's California trip, says Pat Miller is the self-proclaimed ever-righteous mound of conservative sound. Husband, father, choir director, Bible teacher, insurance and financial planner, and a popular MC and keynote speaker. He is also the voice of the Pat Miller program, weekdays on radio station WOWO 11:90 a.m. during the 3 to 6 p.m. drive time hours. There was a group of constituents brought there by a radio host on a trip that was, I think, themed something like American exceptionalism and had something to do with Ronald Reagan. Stutzman former Chief of Staff John Hammond told the OCE. After Stutzman's Chief of Staff consulted with the Committee on Ethics about the proposed California tour with Pat Miller, Stutzman concluded that his name could not be used in advertising or promoting Miller's trip, the report says. Stutzman, however, remained interested in joining Pat Miller and the tour group in California. Marlin Stutzman said, "We're good friends. He's a conservative talk show host. He wants me on his program. I'm on his show frequently." The OCE says it appears that a political trip was then built around the WOWO-AM personalities tour. Marlin Stutzman says, "We set up a trip for Christy and I and the boys, a fundraising trip, campaign-related, also overlapped with this trip that Pat Miller was doing." During a June 22, 2016 interview with the Office of Congressional Ethics, Marlin's wife, Christy Stutzman, offers reasons for the family's California trip. "Instead of maybe doing a separate meeting down the road with my connections in California, maybe we can combine them into one trip," Christy Stutzman said. "If we can combine them into one trip, my connections and then his connections, we could, not just that, but if there was a chance, we could overlap with the Pat Miller and meet them as well and have the family there, and it would be a lot of things taken care of in one thing." While in California, Christy Stutzman referred to the trip as a family vacation, posting a photograph of her children to her Facebook account with the caption, "Great trip to the Reagan Library for our family vacation," teaching these two about the great Ronald Reagan and the Reagan Revolution. After the California trip, Representative Stutzman received an invoice from Edgerton Travel, the travel agency that organized the Pat Miller California tour, for the cost of 6 dinners aboard the Queen Mary and 6 tours of the Reagan Library, totaling $712.50. Representative Stutzman first asked his Chief of Staff, John Hammond, to see if his Senate campaign could pay the invoice. Hammond forwarded Stutzman's request to former campaign manager Brendan Del Toro, which led to this exchange of emails. "Marlin asked me to ask if the campaign could reimburse this invoice. There was a boat dinner he enjoyed with fellow Hoosiers while he was in California on a political trip. Please advise. How is this at all a campaign expense? Taking the family to the Reagan Library?" He had me ask. "I didn't know anything about it until I received the invoice in the mail. If the campaign treasurer says we cannot do it, he will pay. Just the messenger. My anger is not directed at you. This is ridiculous, though. We have a spending and revenue problem." Stutzman former campaign manager Brendan Del Toro told the OCE that he believed it was not appropriate for the campaign to pay for the Stutzman family and friends Queen Mary dinner and the Reagan Library visit associated with the Pat Miller tour. Del Toro explained that he did not believe the presence of Hoosiers at the events made them political activity. Despite Stutzman's belief that his Senate campaign could pay for the dinner and the tour, Stutzman eventually used his own money to pay for the Queen Mary dinner and Reagan Library tour hosted by Pat Miller after Stutzman's staff suggested he do so. Activities that Stutzman described as having a campaign purpose, such as the dinner with Christie's acquaintances from the Hallmark Channel and a lunch with a Hallmark TV show producer, appear to have had only incidental, if any, benefit to his campaign, according to the OCE report. Stutzman says his family and friends stayed at the home of communications consultant Frank Luntz during the California trip, with no expenses associated with the lodging arrangement. According to the OCE report, Representative Stutzman used funds from his Senate campaign committee to pay for the family's airfare and rental vehicle. Stutzman's Senate campaign paid for his family's airfare at a cost of $2,024.80. Stutzman's Senate campaign paid $1,146.65 for a vehicle rental. The OCE report says in April 2016, a member of the media began inquiring about Stutzman's August 2015 trip to California. Representative Stutzman said that after the reporter began asking questions about the trip, his staff recommended that he reimburse the campaign for certain trip expenses, but he disagreed with that recommendation. I did not believe that I should have paid for those flights personally because it was a campaign trip. I did pay them back out of the abundance of caution, but I still don't believe that I would have needed to do that, Stutzman told the OCE. We did do it trying to prevent a story. Chief of Staff John Hammond says at the time of the reporter's questions, Stutzman made the decision to reimburse the campaign, potentially in an attempt to kill the story, not because he was told what he had to do legally. On or around April 13, 2016, Representative Stutzman reimbursed his campaign for the cost of the airfare for his spouse and children in the amount of $1,518. Marlin Stutzman lost valuable trust and enduring popularity among Indiana voters in 2016 because he played the roles of Congressman Marlin Stutzman, Senate candidate Marlin Stutzman, and Marlin Stutzman family man during a 2015 family vacation in California while calling it campaigning. The Office of Congressional Ethics report indicates that Stutzman's 2015 California vacation began as an idea for a commercial tour featuring the congressman and his political public relations friend, Pat Miller, the host of the Pat Miller program on WOWO-AM in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fond, patriotic memories of President Ronald Reagan notwithstanding, Pat Miller's California Dream Tour with Representative Marlin Stutzman effectively destroyed the congressman's political career. Despite that bracing fact, Stutzman and Miller remained good friends. During a December 2016 broadcast of the Pat Miller program on WOWO-AM, Marlin Stutzman said he watched the Chicago Cubs World Series final game victory at Pat Miller's house. Now that is friendship. That's Hoosier hospitality. That's American exceptionalism. Nine Mile Restaurant is a great place for excellent food. 9 Mile Restaurant is also a great place to enjoy refreshing drinks. Check out our daily drink specials. Monday, domestic bottled beer for $1.50 and domestic draft for $1.25. Tuesday, 12-ounce drafts of Blue Moon for $2 and large pitchers for $6.50. Wednesday is Margarita Night. Margaritas for $2.50. Small pitchers for $6. $11 large pitchers. Plus Corona and Dos Equis for $2.75 each. Thursday, Miller Lite, Budweiser, and Bud Light in a bottle for $2.25. Friday, Jaeger Bombs for $3.50 and Busch Light for $2. Saturday, Irish Car Bombs, 2 for $8, and Screwdrivers for $2.50. Sunday, domestic beer buckets, 5 bottles for $10. Have fun and drink responsibly at 9 Mile Restaurant. 9 Mile Restaurant and Catering. Visit Art Cut Tech's Barbershop and Supplies in Fort Wayne because your head deserves a hairstyle worth loving. Art Cut Tech's barbers provide current cuts, traditional trims, and enduring classic styles for men and women and children. Why look good when looking great is so much better? Visit Art Cut Tech's Barbershop and Supplies in the State and Beacon Plaza on East State Boulevard in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Art Cut Tech's.
Step right up, no crowding, no pushing. The greatest show for children as well as people alike for only 1/10 of a dime. And it's so funny I have to laugh myself. Now you better hurry.
Come over here, this is the one. Don't pay any attention to that phone. See this
Right
show.
here,
This is
folks,
Little
going on
Penny
up. Come on, step right up,
Hey,
mister.
over here.
Only one
Hey,
seat
I
left,
wanna
one
see
seat
you.
left.
Hey, come here.
Step right up. How many
You
do you
get
want?
6 pennies for a nickel here.
Oh, yeah. You get 7 pennies for a nickel here.
Did anybody say 8?
Not me, brother.
Let me show you a sample.
Oh, yeah. I seen him poised. Right over here. There's the greatest show on there. Come right in. Here's my ticket.
Come here. I got something here I want you to see. Here's a scene from one of me pictures.
To view this masterpiece, would you loan me a penny, for which I will gladly pay you back Tuesday?
Okay. Here you are.
Thank you, sir.
Who's that knocking at my door?
Oh, you kids. Moving, man.
Hello, tall, tubby, and terrific.
Coochie, coochie, coo.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh, he just carried me away.
Does it?
Ain't he wonderful?
I can't move around here without that guy moving in on me all the time.
Bye. Come up again. Huh.
Thanks,
Oh,
bud.
what a man.
No, I've seen that.
Well, the intermission is over right this way. Here's a nickel show for a penny.
I'm expecting a check.
Oh, you're
Will
lucky.
you advance me a penny, for which I will gladly pay you back Tuesday?
Oh, yeah? Well, I'll think it over, young fella. Here you are. This is on the house.
Thank you.
There we are. There goes that jittle mug now. He thinks he knows a lot about trucking, but I'll show him a thing or two. Well, the first movement from not paying the rent. Can't play light opera on this one. There we go. I bet that's the best show you ever saw with my money, huh? Oh, hey,
Come on, hey, you.
Hit me. Get the number of that truck.
I got something over here I want to show you. This is one of the best ones we ever had.
Very well.
Let's see what you got there, fella. What are you trying to do? Fan me out or something, huh?
He won't even see this one.
Wow.
Here's the old drop ball. He won't see this one either.
Oh, wow.
No, it's given a Twisker ball.
No, it's not satisfactory at all. I do not consider it worth the money.
What are you talking about? That's one of the best pictures we ever made. You don't know what's good.
This guy started on a shoestring and he's going to end the same way. That's what I... Come on, young fella, right with me. Gave that guy a good license that time. Now, here's a picture which is a picture. You pay me Tuesday, huh?
Thank you.
All right, batter up. Here we go. Right one. Right two, you'll have to do better than that. Eight more. Oh, thank you. Grand slam, buddy. There you go. Thank Whoa.
Hey, what's the making that guy?
Come on, put up, you two.
Why must we always fight? Can't we be friends?
Oh, you want to make friends, huh? Well, that's all right with me. Let bygones be bygones. Share and share like be good neighbor. That's what I am.
Oh, hey. Well, thanks for the Hey, oh, Jim. Be friends. Let's go around. Whoa.
Landis, in a Landis moment. Get a dose of Landis. This is the Landis moment. Dose.
Jeff, what's happening on the next episode of A Dose of Landis?
Well, it's something that you've produced and put music to, which is the Landis moments here on Fort Wayne CW.
So tell me about it.
Well, showing moments from when I was interviewing Jason Snake Roberts, Donnie Baker, a lot of big names. And also, you're going to see some stuff that's never aired on TV before, such as the Sonny Taylor controversy, what I said about her a couple years ago about the What's Up Whammies. It was unfair how she got all these whammies and other people didn't, with me calling her spoiled brat and a lawsuit and all kinds of other things.
Watch A Dose of Landis, 11 p.m. Thursdays on Access Fort Wayne 2. Dose. 9 Mile Restaurant serves delicious food for fine dining that families can afford. 9 Mile dinner specials include baked spaghetti Monday, baby back ribs Tuesday, Wednesday night Mexican dinners, and Thursday night Italian dinners. 9 Mile Restaurant is open 7 days a week. 9 Mile Restaurant is located 9 miles south of the Allen County Courthouse on US 27 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. 9 Mile Restaurant and Catering.
Politico. Headline. Tillerson. U.S. will maintain a military presence in Syria. Speaking in California at Stanford University's Hoover Institution, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson indicated that America will maintain an indefinite military presence in Syria to fight terrorist groups, stand up to Iran's growing influence, and pave the way for an end to the regime of Syrian leader Bashar Assad. Trump has given his military commanders more freedom in their moves against the Islamic State, Tillerson said. He said an estimated 3.2 million Syrians and 4.5 million Iraqis have been freed from its tyranny. Tillerson acknowledged that the end of the Assad regime may be far off and require a political process, including elections, but he asked people for patience. Patient former ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson says an estimated 3.2 million Syrians have been freed from the Islamic State. April 23, 2016, Al Jazeera says the United Nations Special Envoy for Syria has estimated that 400,000 people have been killed throughout the past 5 years of civil war. The UN no longer keeps track of the death toll due to the inaccessibility of many areas and the complications of navigating conflicting statistics put forward by the Syrian government and armed opposition groups. The Syrian civil war began in March 2011. The United Nations says the ongoing war in Syria had killed an estimated 400,000 Syrians, according to an Al Jazeera report from April 2016. That's when the United Nations stopped counting war fatalities in Syria. In October 2017, a year and a half later, CNN reports an estimated 400,000 Syrians had been killed, according to the United Nations. Not only is that fake news, it's completely crazy.
ISIS, Islamic State. We should stop calling it ISIS or ISIL or Daesh. Just call it the Islamic State. Just say it, Islamic State. Just call it that. Whether it stands for Islam or not, this is what these folks calling themselves, the Islamic State. The USA loves the FSA. They love them. Free Syrian Army, they love those guys. The FSA? The USA loves the FSA, they love them. Free Syrian Army, they love those guys. The FSA? Obama gets on national television, delaying the NFL game while these Steelers just beating the heck out of the Colts. He delayed that, maybe. But nonetheless, talking about just how he's going to keep doing the same old thing. No ground troops, except for these special guys, and we're going to keep doing these airstrikes, and, it's an ideology. Islamic State, ISIL, Daesh. So that's the way he's bringing it, the same thing. These right-wingers saying, well, it's not enough, it's not enough. But there's really nothing to do. There isn't. Because people, if you look at it, you're going to find the USA loves the FSA. They love them. Free Syrian Army, they love those guys. The FSA? The USA loves the FSA. They love them. Free Syrian Army, they love those guys. The FSA? Well, the USA hates al-Nusra. They hate al-Nusra, the terrorist group, but the Free Syrian Army loves al-Nusra. They love those guys. The United States hates ISIS. Well, al-Nusra hates ISIS. They're fighting those guys too. So al-Nusra is fighting ISIS. The U.S. is fighting ISIS. They hate ISIS, but the Free Syrian Army loves the United States, and they love al-Nusra, but the United States hates al-Nusra. But al-Nusra is fighting ISIS. It's completely crazy. It's completely crazy. The U.S. hates Assad. ISIS, the Islamic State, they hate Assad. They hate that mug. The U.S. hates Assad. ISIS, the Islamic State, they hate Assad. They hate that mug. You're going to find the United States, their policy over there, it makes no sense. It's completely schizophrenic. It's completely crazy. Listen to this. Assad hates the Islamic State. Russia hates the Islamic State. Russia loves Assad. Assad loves Russia. Russia and Assad hate the Free Syrian Army. Russia and Assad hate the USA. The U.S. loves some rebel groups. Assad hates all rebel groups. The U.S. loves some rebel groups. Russia hates all rebel groups. So agree with it or not, the Russian-Assad alliance at least follows some sort of straightforward logic. The United States foreign policy in Syria to combat the Islamic State is pure schizophrenia. It's completely crazy.
Thanks for watching The Dean Show. I'll be here next week.